So at one of our events. Hey, folks, we're live. We're back. dSIPRouter Weekly. Let me post in the chat that we're here, so that other people can come and enjoy the time that you're spending with us. Let me just post this real quick. But Tyler, what's been going on?
Lots been going on, man. So I've been digging through some issues here. We've been working on MS Teams support, kind of improving that. Also been looking into some CDRs and stuff here. But I know you had a few things to talk about on the MS Teams support that we've been working on. Some new features, new bells and whistles.
Yeah, man. So really want to make MS Teams really easy to use. So basically taking some of the stuff that Tyler was working on in regards to making the endpoints so that you can change between the actual the audio transport you use. So you can switch from just simply using this non-secure RTP to secure RTP. And then back and forth. There's a bunch of options there now. We're kind of merging that into what we do on the Microsoft Teams side. So for those who don't know, Microsoft Teams really requires all the communication to come over via SRTP, so secure RTP. And really, the key here is this: what I've been really working on is just making sure that those things, like two things. One, I think that it's really tough to debug when something's not happening correctly in the Microsoft Teams world. And right now, you have to use, as you know, Tyler, the SIP debug feature to go figure it out. So I've been really working through how do we make this stuff show up in the CDRs? Because there are calls. Because for those who don't know, really, the MS Teams stuff doesn't show up in the CDRs. So, but it'll be helpful for it to show up in the CDR. So you can see there was a call attempted. Here was the actual error code that came back from Microsoft Teams or your upstream carrier. So trying to add that in, because I found re-enabling Teams and Teams has changed a bunch. There's like a lot of stuff that's in Teams, and we had an issue of being able to make our outbound calls. So I had to go in and update the policy and add users to the policy. So I just think that if we can make Teams in itself is already complicated enough, what can we do on the dSIPRouter side to make it simpler so you kind of can see what's happening? Is what I'm really trying to focus on in MS Teams currently. So that's really it. There's more to it.
So it's funny you mentioned that we have the Homer feature, as everybody knows, and you can actually use that HEP where it's sending the HEP packets to debug that little. I mean, let's demo that really quick to show that. So that's a pretty cool or pretty useful tool when you're debugging like the TLS connections. So
does the TLS stuff show up? I guess it probably does in Homer, I
guess. So normally, like if you got SNGREP up and you just run it by itself, you're going to get only the UDP, TCP transmissions. You're not going to get all that TLS stuff because it's obviously encrypted. But if you set up Homer, just as normal, you'll see in the Kamailio config, if I set Homer to just send a local host, so Homer host. So right now I just have it set to my the local box, and whoops, I'm back then. So right now it's just at the local box, port 9060 for HEP. If I go over here to SNGREP, just do the help, you'll see in here you have -L EEP listen. So it'll listen for the HEP packets. So you can just go SNGREP -L UDP 127 the local box and 9060. Now when you send TLS connections, you'll see them. So
what? That's
I think I got
cool.
it. Yeah, this one's already set up to do it. So this is sending a call, and you can see right now it's sending it. Obviously, there's an error there because we're debugging something
Yeah,
with our account, but
yeah,
you can
yeah.
see this is the TLS connection right over here for the MS Teams.
What? That's cool.
I know, right?
So that's all right. So that's the trick. That is, we have to put that in the notes for this video of how you can test this out. Because man, I've been doing it the tough way. I've been turning on SIP debug, man. This is like I learned something new, folks. This is like amazing.
So much
Like
easier.
crazy. This is like a dope. And now the reason why this happens is because help is grabbing the raw packets before they get encrypted and sent out, basically.
Yep.
Cool.
When it's forwarded over HEP, it's all the connections or all the SIP stuff. So anything
Man,
TLS, TCP.
This is a useful video for me. This is like amazing because I was like telling you, man, this has been it's been painful when doing it. But anyway, that's super dope. So I think we need to probably like add that to our documentation. Like if you're debugging it, you can use this to actually see the package. Because that's probably for most people is 90% of the issue that they have in with the like trying to get MS Teams to work. Like, I mean, in dSIPRouter is pretty easy, but like if something goes wrong, you don't know without going through a whole bunch of debugging and stuff like that. So
yeah, and Homer takes a while to set up. Nobody wants to just for debugging an issue have to either go through the logs that spit out on debug,
yeah,
or because that's kind of a pain. Rather use a nice tool, right? And setting up Homer it takes forever, So nobody's going to set that up just to debug a simple problem if they're testing something out. So yeah, you pick up these tricks as you're going through, and until we have people coming back to us like, oh, hey, I got this problem. It's like, oh, I remember I've already done that. Let me get that pushed out to the documentation.
Yeah, this is pretty dope. So yeah, so the other thing that I have to finish up is people have been we put out a while ago that we were coming up with a small course on how to do continuous integration with dSIPRouter. So as you know, we do a lot of continuous integration type of stuff, CI/CD stuff when we deploy dSIPRouter. For everybody who doesn't know, we use DigitalOcean to do most of our testing. And so I just think it's really cool the way we kind of have this kind of set up. And so for those who've been waiting for it, I am very close to being done with that. And that'll show you how you can automate dSIPRouter, automate the license key stuff. Thanks, Tyler, for putting that in there. So a lot of these things that's needed in order to productionize dSIPRouter. I feel like I'm not saying the word properly, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I want to make dSIPRouter ready to go out to production. And a lot of people want to use some type of infrastructure as code in order to do it and make it repeatable. So I have a course that I'm almost done with. That's going to show that, and I'll put a link to the pre-order to that in the show notes. For those who've already pre-ordered it, thank you, and we will get that out very soon. So that's what I've been working on, Tyler. Yeah. What about you, man? What's the exciting thing that you want to talk about today?
So first I wanted to do a plug for our Slack channel. We have the dSIPRouter community Slack channel. It's going to be in the show notes below. Go ahead, check that out. Join us, say hi, ask all your questions there. We're very responsive in the Slack. So what else? There's two things I've been kind of working on a couple other projects that I think are interesting that are going to eventually make its way back into dSIPRouter. One of them is the SIP automated testing or end-to-end testing with SIP. And we've we've had a few big deployments with a couple of our service providers that we are building their infrastructure, and being able to test every different route in there without getting actual clients sending the requests to you is hard. You definitely have to start creating each separate little separate part of that route in your SIP scripts. So I want to get that eventually back into dSIPRouter where we can test, is Teams still working? Is the domain routing still working? Because you have all these different use cases, and testing them by hand or getting all of these different clients to send these specific messages, it's a pain. So that's something that I think I'm going to be handing off to Chelsea at some point, and she's going to hopefully take that over and get that up to snuff, get that integrated into the project. Definitely need to get a little bit better test coverage.
Yeah, I think that'd be good because every time we do a push, we can run this coverage, right, to kind of validate if we broke anything. Because that's really the majority of the thing that we do is when we push something, we break something. So if we can prevent that or minimize it, that would be good. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, SIPSec it's been a decent tool for that, I think, but it doesn't have enough customizability, I think. It's a pretty simple UA. I also looked at like Linphone and some of the other kind of programmable user agents, but you really gotta have it all mapped out. And on that note, I did add in. So I took I saw a blog post. I'll have to find the link. I'll put it in the show notes when I do. But I found a blog post a while back about regex support on SIP, and I integrated that back into my current fork. But that was very useful because if you are testing all these wide things, you want it to not just fail out. You want it to go through all the different tests, or maybe it's like 3 requests in that you need to get to, but if it fails on the first request because you're getting unexpected response, you want to see that whole flow, basically. So pretty useful to have that.
Was there like a commit out there that you added back into SIP, or is there already an existing branch that had it on there, then you just had to switch to a different branch or version?
Yeah, I found a blog post about it and I integrated that in, but it's on my own fork right now, which is like, I don't know, a while back. I need to rebase it to get it back upstream. So it'll take a minute for me to get that reformatted and everything, but we're going to get that back into the mid project. I think they'll like that. There's a couple other features added in there as well, but I don't think we need to go into that any more than that. That's the SIP testing. It's pretty interesting. For the people that aren't aware of like the tool SIP, I know this is a little bit further into the conversation, but that's basically a tool that can generate SIP traffic. So it's very useful for these testing use cases.
It's I love SIP. SIP is one of the tools that, like, when you know how to use it, it becomes very powerful. But getting to the point where it becomes like you can use it takes a minute. So
it's got a learning curve. You gotta like XML.
A lot. They definitely need to modernize it. But I don't know. I think that the way they have it is not too bad. I mean, it just takes a lot. They have a lot of options.
Yeah, but when you're testing out a complex flow and you need to make sure that it gets to a certain code path, it's what you need. You gotta have control of the whole flow.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the one thing I like about SIP is that you can actually give it a list of of like username like you can become like different clients. So simulate like multiple user agents. You can give it a list of basically extensions. It will go off and it will start sending requests as those user agents, which I think is pretty cool. Allows you to simulate all type of stuff. And I know for what we're doing, more as functional testing, we don't necessarily need that. But it's just what I'm trying to paint here is that it's very, very um, uh, I don't say modular, but it's just it has a lot of different features that fits a lot of different testing use cases. So I'm a big fan. I feel like I need to like to put together a little small course on SIP because I think a lot of people they get intimidated by it, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah,
this is
that'd
how I
be
feel.
a pretty good one to maybe we'll have to do like a little stream or maybe like a short video just kind of showing how you can lay out your use case and get that into an end-to-end test specific.
Yeah,
It'd be pretty cool. Pretty good video.
yeah, because I think it's pretty cool. Um, the other thing is that we're going to be at AstraCon this year, so we need to get our tickets and get there. And so, really, if you want to hang out, I think what we're going to do is probably see if we can schedule meetings. Like we'll put like a little link out where you can schedule meetings with Tyler or me or both of us while we're there. We'll just block some time out so we can like just meet with people. Um, during the conference. So I think that's going to be really fun. Hoping to learn a lot from everybody that's there. So it should be good.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Seems like there's a lot of AI talk going on, but
Every
I,
conference
it's,
now, every conference.
yeah, I feel like it's kind of it's being a little too overdone, but it is exciting to see. I think everybody is interested in seeing which use cases they're going to be using this for in their business. So it makes sense, you know. But
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think there's a couple of changes inside of just AI and what things what how it's going to have a change on the VoIP world and some regulations as well. So that's going to really be interesting to see because really
mhm.
VoIP hasn't changed, right? If you look at all the RFCs, they haven't changed over 20, sometimes 30 years. So there's not, it hasn't been anything changed, which is good. It's made it really stable. But I think it's time for some enhancements, and a lot of these enhancements come in regards to like real time communications, right? It's like if you're gonna have a LLM be the back end to a bot that you have, that thing needs to, with voice, it needs to be almost instantaneous. It can't just sit there and wait. So those are the things that intrigue me the most. Is like, um, incorporating these things into kind of what I consider asterisks and research kind of legacy, um, systems, and seeing how they behave. So I'm interested for it.
Yeah, we'll be there, you guys. Come say hi.
Yep. Um,
So the other
what,
thing that I've been working on a little bit is CDRs.
yes,
We did
CDRs.
interesting stuff, records accounting. So we did for one of our customers, for two of our customers actually, we did some RevIO integrations. We actually had another user in the community was asking about it, and
Hmm.
I was telling him, I was like, well, with dSIPRouter, we don't have a way to customize that. Just take the CIR records, format them afterwards, you know. But
Hmm.
it made me think, what if we had that customizable? Like you could just go into the GUI and say, hey, I want field 1, 2, 3, 4, in my records, and you can do that dynamically. That would be pretty cool because I think everybody that's integrating with a different billing system, they're going to have different formats, and
Yeah.
that would make it a little bit more useful. As long as you got enough data, from the accounting records, you can kind of tweak it around to whatever your billing system needs.
Yeah, I mean, like as like Rev.io, do you actually? I'm assuming you have. Do they have an API that you can grab the CDR records on their own, or do you have to actually export the CDR records from one place and import them into Rev.io?
Yeah, it gets Rev.io will connect and pull them as CSV records over into their system. They got to be formatted correctly, otherwise, they can't really process them. And then they'll generate the bill based on that.
Got you. So that's what you're doing, is just really getting it prepared so it can be pulled from them. And how do they pull it? Do they pull it via HTTP or do they pull it some FTP? What do they use?
We've been doing FTP for all the connections that we've done so far. I don't know if they haven't said that they support HTTPS yet.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure there's other billing providers that support going through HTTPS, or you exporting it to them instead of the other way around, pushing versus pull.
It seems like a lot of people use FTP, so that'd be cool. So basically, you can say, hey, I want the CDRs to be in this format, and then it could either, like from a dSIPRouter perspective, are you pushing it? I know. And for dSIPRouter, how do you kind of see it be used? Would you see it that the end user would log in and then download it, or would you look at it as dSIPRouter would then have an FTP server either locally or remotely that it sends the data to, and then then the billing provider will go pick it up from there?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the first part, I think, is like in the UI, you'll have the CDR. It'll just be part of one of the tabs. You'll go in there and then you'll pick your fields, so that's what your records will be created off of. You save that, they start getting produced that way, and then I think they'll probably stay in the database. But then we'll probably have to figure out which transport methods we want to support there. If we want to support people pulling from us, FTP, HTTPS, what have you, WebSockets. I'm not sure really what the best one for that is. If anybody has some use cases for that, obviously we've seen hosting the FTPs, hosting them over FTP for them to pull. We've seen that a few times already. So I think that's definitely one use case, but I'd like to get some feedback on that. You guys can leave a comment down below, or just put it in the Slack channel. Let us know what formats that would or transport formats that would work best for your use cases.
I think I think that's pretty cool, because I think everybody's trying to figure out what to do with CDR records, and yeah, I think that's cool. I mean, I don't like CDRs, like typically with dSIPRouter. Oh, you made me think about something. So remember, this remind me about FreePBX DID, and then this remind me. All right, so one of the things that's kind of cool, because I think CDRs are in different places. Like you have some on the proxy, which in this case, in our world with dSIPRouter, some are going to be on the media servers, FreePBX, Fusion PBX. And the question is, who provides the ability to get billing information the fastest? And because like at the media server, yes, you have more detail because you know what extension they transfer to and all that good stuff. But for billing, you don't care about none of that. You just care about, the call came in, how many seconds were they on the call, that type of stuff. So I think it makes sense that people should be using the edge, the proxy server, as a way to determine how much, how whatever the scheme is they're using for billing. Am I looking at that right? Yeah, do you see it that way?
No, I mean that's what a lot of people already use dSIPRouter for. You know, so if you have a bunch of different types of PBXs, or some old legacy stuff that's sitting behind the proxy, you can not have to worry about, I got to configure this PBX this way for billing and this other one and this other one. You can have it all just on the proxy instead. So it kind of like hides that topology, makes it a lot easier. Really, all you have to be able to do is associate it to your customer. So for most part, that's going to be your either from username or from domain. It's going to be the domain, the username or DIDs, or the source addresses. So just depending on how you set up your own customer tenants.
Yeah, I really think that's going to be it's just, I don't know, this really is interesting to me, um on that, and I don't think we push that enough. I think people, they look at it and they think about it, but I don't know if people are really using it the way they should. Because we also have the API as well,
Hmm.
right? So we have the CDR API that people could be pulling their CDRs that way as well. Um, but yeah, I don't know. That's I definitely think we need to lean more into that, especially maybe talking to one of the things we haven't did well. A lot of it has to do with me. Is this really like make really um, getting partnerships and really cementing these partnerships and saying, all right, RevIO, if you're working with a customer that's building out a VoIP infrastructure, we'll have an integration natively built into dSIPRouter for you. Um, I don't think we've done that well. So maybe that's also a way for us to, make sure that we're leaning into this a little bit more. So,
Yeah, I think we gotta reach out a little bit more. That's for sure.
yeah,
The billing side, we haven't really dove into it too much in the past, so I'll give us a little leeway there. We haven't focused on it as
yeah.
much, but
Thank you, thank you very much, thank you very much. I we appreciate it there. But no, that's dope,
it's
man. I didn't
important.
realize.
It's important businesses. You got to be able to build, otherwise you don't have business.
Yeah, yeah, billing is important. And yeah, I think that's again. So all right, back to I remember. Okay, let's
Free
go to
PBX
PPP.
DIDs.
Yeah. So one of the things that came up to me is we're working with a customer now that is going to have they have multiple pre-PBX servers there, and they're going to have a set of dSIPRouter. We probably have one right now, I think, but we're going to have one dSIPRouter instance, and calls are going to be coming through, and then they're going to have a bunch of DIDs, and those DIDs, I'm assuming, is going to go to different pre-PBX servers. And
Okay.
I was thinking to myself that maybe, not saying that we need to do this right away, but we may need to write a free PBX module that talks to dSIPRouter. So when somebody inputs, because see, on all these PBX systems, you have to put the DID down so you can route it properly inside their system. Likewise in Fusion.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't it make sense? I mean, we're closer to Fusion. So Fusion, we can do this pretty easily. We can easily do this. We just don't do it right now. But for free PBX, um, should it be pulling, or I'm sorry, not pulling, should the free PBX instances be pushing new DIDs to dSIPRouter so that it knows about
Mm.
these DIDs and they're automatically set up and they know what PBX to go to. Because right now, what we got to do with this customer is get all their DIDs and then say, all right, this DID goes to PBX1, this one goes to PBX2, this goes to PBX3. But just imagine if it was reporting itself. So just an idea that I
Mm-hmm.
was dreaming about while I was sleeping.
This is what Mac dreams about, everybody. Is at night. He's just dreaming about step and extensions,
Yeah. And I guess it was
nightmares
a
about
nightmare.
provisioning.
That that's what it was, a nightmare because I was like, my God, like how are we gonna do this? Because that means we're gonna have to like it's gonna be a process. you know. So
I think
I
the
don't
question
know.
there is, should it be a push or pull? So should you be configuring the extensions and domains and things on the Fusion box, the free PBX box, or should we have a on dSIPRouter, you configure it there, and then it pushes it down to it? So
I think it could
I
go.
think it's
I think it can go either way. But I think most of the time, people are in the free PBX system setting up the extensions around
mhm.
where people should go. So it just makes natural that all right, this DID is going to be belong here, and then it routes it because they have to already get on the box anyway and say this DID goes to this extension. In DSIP router, we don't know what extension. We don't have visibility into the extensions, so that's what I was just thinking, making it easier. Because right now they have to touch the PPX box, set the extension up, then they have to go touch dSIPRouter and then say, all right, this DID goes there. So I don't know. I'm open to either one, but that's what I was thinking.
yeah. I don't know which one is the best, but the way we did it with Fusion seems to work pretty well, where we're polling into dSIPRouter,
Mm-hmm.
because that way you don't have to. Because we would the I guess the biggest difference is you would have to support more and more APIs as FreePBX changes. If we can
Oh yeah,
just go into the database and say, hey, we only need this subset of data, the extensions only, right? Or maybe just
that's true.
I need to know your
That's true.
domains. So I think
That's
that
true. We
it
could
might make it a
pull.
little
I
bit
mean,
easier to maintain over the course of PBX, free PBX changing, Fusion changing, as new versions come out. If we can just look at like the
so
database schema or something,
yeah.
yeah.
You know what it was? You know what it is that see in Fusion Fusion uses Postgres, and Postgres has the ability to say, all right, anything coming from this IP address is validated, and so we don't have to necessarily share passwords. Even though in vSphere router you have the ability to put a password in there, but we don't. We go off IP off at the database level. So I guess as long as we're comfortable, like I think the best practice will be the end user will create a read only username and password for their free PBX system database, in particular the tables that we need, and then Decent Router would then use that to pull the um, the DID information to each server. So that's not
Yeah, I
bad.
don't think we have that. That's a good one to note, actually put on the documentation, because I think right now, yeah, we're using the IP auth in
Hmm.
most of the like custom solutions that we set up. It's like, yeah, anybody that's external is going to have to be read only. So
Right.
we don't want dSIPRouter, at least with the poll model. We don't want it changing the domains or changing anything on there. So
Yeah.
it's a good point.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it just came to me while we were. I was thinking. I woke up like, oh my god, we have to like do all these things on these boxes. Oh, not on the box, but on the decent router box in order to have it route traffic. So that was the only thing. But anyway, so no, this has been a great discussion today. But number one, let's recap here. I learned how to properly test MS Teams using the help integration without having to install Homer. You can actually use just SNGrep, right? And SNGrep has the built-in listening parameter to do listening on your traffic. Um, you can point it your decent router instance to your SNGrep that is sending you all of the traffic, so you can see it unencrypted. So that was amazing. Thank you, Tyler. Um, and then we talked about what we're doing
That
with
one came to me in a dream too.
did it? Wow, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the SIP guides. Yeah. So the and then of that we talked about a little about MS Teams and some of the changes there and being able to see some of the stuff in CDRs. Then you talked about like this mind blowing thing where we should be like doing and supporting Is it Rev.io? Is that what it's called? Rev.io?
Yeah, kind of like what we're looking for in the future with CDRs and how
Yeah.
to make that more dynamic and support, any vendor instead of just going piecemeal one by one or having to post format them. It's kind of a pain to do that for each one. So what if you change
Yep.
billing providers,
Yeah. But
Right?
maybe starting with Rev.io as the kind of like the model.
Mhm.
Um, so that was amazing. And then in general, just talking through, some enhancements that we can be doing for, our customers that make life as having multiple PPX servers much easier. So I think this was a great show that that we had to talk through these things, and we did it within like 35 minutes. So
Short and
the
sweet.
end the show, Tyler, anything else? Anything exciting else that you want to share with folks?
Well, I don't have time to get into it on this show, but when looking at big data integrations as well and partitionings of tables, there's a there's one customer we have right now that's getting in. They're generating 500,000 to 1,000,000 ACC records every day. So we're learning to deal with some of the big data issues and hopefully get those integrated back into this project as well.
Oh, man,
So that's pretty
excellent, man.
exciting, but we'll come back to that at another point.
Well, that's excellent. Well, that's what's up. I don't have anything else, folks. Have a great Halloween. Uh, eat all the Tootsie Rolls that you can because they are great. I love it. What's your favorite candy, Tyler?
I don't know. Candied apples are definitely up there.
Really? Like, but that's
Mhm.
like candy apples. Like, you don't have like that's like a premium. Like, like people aren't just
With the
handing out candy
caramel and the
apples.
chocolate on there.
Well,
Yeah.
what candy though? Like when you go, like people ain't just handing those out. But like, what candy would you say is the thing? Like when you was a kid and you went door to door and you got that candy, besides candy apples, with that piece of candy, you were like, yes.
Okay, for trick or treating, yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a toss up. It's a toss up between Twix and Reese's because they're both so good. Yeah.
Oh, got you.
The
I'm a
caramel
I'm a
versus the peanut butter.
I'm a Tootsie Roll fan. I got a whole thing of Tootsie Rolls, man, at the
Tootsie
bottom.
Roll.
Yeah, Tootsie Roll. Yeah, it's
Which
a
which
very.
flavor though? That's the question.
Oh no, only original, only the
Only the
chocolate,
original. Okay.
only original. No, and Laffy Taffy. So if I got Laffy Taffy, green Laffy Taffy in particular
That's
is what I really enjoyed. So, all right, guys, have a
all right.
great one. Happy Halloween, and we'll talk soon.
Yep. See you, everybody.